By the Lackawanna County District Attorney's Office.
The Women's Resource Center in Scranton has helped tens of thousands of women and children rebuild their lives free of violence and fear since its opening in 1976. In tonight's Addicted in PA, Fox 56's Jane Adonisio examines how drugs affect women in abusive situations.
People who reach out to the Women's Resource Center in Scranton come from all walks of life, different backgrounds, education, ethnicities. But they usually all have one thing in common, some type of abuse in their life. Joining us today is Peg Ruddy. She is the executive director of the center. Peg, what is the correlation between intimate partner violence and drug and alcohol abuse?
Yes, Jane, there's definitely an intersection between intimate partner violence and drug and alcohol abuse. For example, we work with adults who perhaps were abused as children, and they may use drugs and alcohol to self-medicate because of the trauma. We also work with survivors of domestic violence, whereby the partner, their abusive partner, coerces them into using drugs along with them, or they'll pay a price not to. And finally, we work with survivors whose abusive partners are using drugs or alcohol, and then they use that as an excuse to abuse.
Thanks so much for being with us, Peg. We now turn to Lackawanna County District Attorney Mark Powell. Mark, many of the situations that Peg spoke about end up in the hands of law enforcement, especially when opioids are involved.
The number one cause of injury to women is battery from intimate partners. Far too often, drug use and domestic violence go hand to hand, and studies show that domestic violence has a devastating impact on families. The next generation, their children, are more likely to be violent and more likely to use drugs. Our criminal justice system takes violence very seriously, and when someone violates the law and causes abuse, they can face jail time, restraining orders, and custody orders that prevent them from seeing their children.
Sad but true. Thank you, Mark. We'll be back next week with another Addicted in PA. I'm Jane Adonisio.
Jane, thanks so much. For more information about the Women's Resource Center in Scranton and for more information about recovery, head on over to our website, fox56.com, and you'll find the link for Addicted in PA.